day, senior high school students! How are you? I hope you are all safe now. Welcome to Tarlac City Schools Division Video Lessons. This is your core subject, Oral Communication in Context. I am Ma'am Mariechris M. David, and I am very excited to teach you the concepts that will help you to be better communicators amid pandemic. During these challenging times, it is important to improve your communication skills. Now you are about to learn Week 1 lesson for the midterm of your first semester. It's about the functions, nature, and process of communication. Are you ready to learn now? Come on, let's explore the interactive world of oral communication.
Before we begin, I want you to prepare the following materials. First, your learning activity sheet in Week 1 for oral communication. Second, a pen. And lastly, prepare your paper. For our learning competency, you should be able to explain the functions, nature, and process of communication.
During this global health crisis, communication is very important. It is a skill that humans need to survive. You do it every day from the moment you wake up until you fall asleep. Have you ever wondered where the term communication comes from? You are hearing it most of the time, but let me share to you a little trivia.
The word communication came from the Latin word communicare, which means to share or to have something in common.
It is the exchange of thoughts, feelings, and observations among people.
With the prohibition of face-to-face interactions, still, communication is evident around us. It may be a phone call, a recitation, an online meeting, an interview, or even attending to online meetings and online classes such as Google Meet and MS Teams.
We may not have the face-to-face classes at present, but still, communicative activities are very evident in our homes and barangays.
In fact, people are now responding to COVID-19 with the use of their communication skills. Millions of frontliners are communicating to different agencies to report the latest updates and statistics about coronavirus.
Thus, communication is only one essential part that humans need to survive. Come on, let us continue learning the nature of communication. A lot of information are now available everywhere. The COVID-19 pandemic brought a lot of changes in the way we communicate now. We use virtual communication most of the time. Learners, you should be very careful in this way of communication. Yes, it is a process that requires creativity, but make sure the information that you share and receive are still accurate.
Have you experienced reading a fake news? Did you immediately believe or you verified first? Bear in mind that consistent and accurate information should be disseminated. Fact-checked is necessary whenever we share information to other people. Communication is helpful because you learn new words from other people. For example, when you interact with the elders, you learn new words from them because of their experiences.
Our daily lives are being improved because of our daily communication via face-to-face conversations and social media. We also build relationships with our co-workers, friends, family, and relatives because of communication.
Lastly, it is also helpful in your future professional journey. Do you want to be a teacher, a nurse, a doctor, or a soldier? When you want to achieve your ambitions in life, communication is necessary. You communicate because you want to achieve your dreams and goals in life.
Moving forward, the focus of our lesson is on elements of communication. These elements are essential to better understand the process of communication. The communication will not be possible without these elements. Communication is a complex process, but it will be an easy one if you have understood the elements of communication.
There are 7 elements of communication: sender or speaker, message, channel, the receiver, the feedback, and the noise, and lastly, the setting. The first one is the sender. He or she is the one who chooses the purpose of the message. If you are the one who sent the message, you are the sender. For example, when you sent a message to your group chat, you are considered as the sender. Another one, when your teacher announced the deadlines on the submission of your learning activity sheets or your modules, then your teacher is the sender. The second element is the message. It is the idea that is going to be transmitted from the sender to the receiver. It is also based on what the speaker wants to say, why the speaker wants to say something, and how the speaker wants to say it. It can also be your emotion or the feeling you have right now. If you ask your classmate or your friend, what do they feel right now? Their happiness or sadness is the message that they want to say.
Even though you are not in the classroom, you can be the listener. As you listen to this video lesson, you are also giving answers to your virtual teacher, Ma'am Mariechris David.
The process of communication will not be complete without this element. This element is the listener. He or she is the one who receives the message. The communication will not be successful without the listener. If you are excited to share your academic excellence award to your sister and you knew that your sister is not around, what will you feel? You will be upset, right? That is why the listener is very important in any communicative situation. The listener is the one who gives reactions to the speaker. Another important element of communication is the channel or medium. It is the means of communication by which the message is sent. It connects the sender and the receiver. There are basically 5 senses: eyes, ears, skin, nose, and mouth. If you use Messenger to send your video to your friend, then internet connection is considered as the channel. Our voice is also used as the commonly used medium of communication. The 5th element is feedback. Are you still good to learn virtually? If your answer is yes and you are okay, then that is your feedback. Your reply to me as your virtual teacher is considered as the feedback. If you answered, huh? It means you have difficulties in listening. That is also your feedback. Always remember that feedback is important to give reactions to the speaker. Understanding will be possible because of feedback. The sixth element is the noise. It is the interference that keeps a message from being understood or correctly interpreted. I will ask you now, do you hear a noise in your environment or in your home? Do you hear a loud sound aside from my voice as your virtual teacher? If yes, that is considered as an example of a noise. Example, if there is a loud sound of a vehicle or a motorcycle that pass by outside your home, that is an example of a physical noise. Another one is the sound of the ambulance in the hospital. That is also an example of an external noise. If you heard them while you are in your home, then you experience an external noise, specifically a physical noise. Another type of noise is the internal noise. It occurs in the mind of the speaker. It can be an emotion, a feeling, or a thought that is bothering the speaker. To be specific, it is what we call a psychological noise. For example, you are anxious with the fake news that you are hearing. At the same time, you are nervous because of the lockdowns. These experiences are examples of an internal noise. The last type of noise is the physiological noise. It happens when the body becomes a hindrance to communication. Examples are fever, cough, cold, or any symptoms of a sickness. If you are not feeling well, you cannot focus on the conversation or communication, and that is what we call physiological noise. The last element of a communicative situation is what we call the setting. It is the place or the location in which the communication takes place. For example, with our frontliners, they are staying in the COVID-19 quarantine facilities with the patients. The quarantine facility is an example of a setting. The places where our heroes of COVID-19 are staying are examples of setting.
Finally, our last topic is about the communication process. Let's bear in mind that the process has important components. These components are very essential to have a very good flow of communication. Once you got the flow of communication, understanding in every communicative situation will be possible.
The first component is the sender. A sender is the party that sends a message. For example, the reporters in the television serve as speakers to COVID-19 updates and recommendations. As part of the senders, we also have the frontliners. They are giving updates and reports on the number of COVID-19 cases and recoveries in our country. They send messages which serve as the information to be conveyed to the citizens. The viewers or the people, the Filipinos, need to encode the message, which is transforming their thoughts of the information to be conveyed into a form that can be sent, such as words. A channel of communication must also be selected, which is the way the message is sent. Channels of communication include speaking, writing, video transmission, audio transmission, electronic transmission through emails, text messages, and even nonverbal communication such as body language. The updates are being sent via computers and other gadgets. The reporters also need to know the target of their communication. This party is called the receiver. The receiver must be able to decode the message, which means mentally processing the message into understanding. If you cannot decode, the message fails. For example, sending a COVID-19 latest update in a foreign language that is not understood by the Filipinos, the receivers, probably will result in decoding failure. Sometimes, a receiver will give the sender feedback, which is a message sent by the receiver back to the sender. For example, you as the listener will provide feedback in the form of a question to clarify some information about the health protocols in Turlock City. This is an example of a communication process that is now happening in our present generation.
Alright, senior high school students, we are now done with our discussion. Do you have questions? How do you find the lesson so far? Did you gain additional learnings about communication? Congratulations! Now it's time for our teacher breaker. Enjoy the activity, senior high school students!
For our teacher breaker, we will be playing the game Would You Rather? Food Edition. Direction: choose one answer to any question you are asked. Let's get started. First question: would you rather eat a hamburger or a pizza? What is your answer? In 3, 2, 1. For the second question, would you rather eat a pretzel or a bagel? What is your answer? In 3, 2, 1. How about this one? Would you rather eat ice cream or drink a smoothie? Second to the last question, would you rather eat a waffle or a pancake? In 3, 2, 1. What is your answer? That's good. Lastly, would you rather drink coffee or drink hot chocolate? What is your answer? In 3, 2, 1. All right. Congratulations for this teacher breaker activity. You may do it during your pastime or you may do it with your friends. Now let us check if you understood our lesson. In your learning activity sheet, you have 3 or more items per activity. What we will do now is we will take the first item and we will try to answer that. And the succeeding items, you will do it on your own. I always believe that you can do it. Now, we will also have other examples so that you will better understand the activities. Come on, let's do it now. For our general instructions, read carefully the directions indicated in the following exercises, then provide what is needed or asked in each item. For the first activity, you need to identify all the elements of communication in the following COVID-19 scenarios. Make sure you will write your answers on the spaces provided. Check the spaces in your learning activity sheet. Follow all the instructions, okay? For the first one, this is the scenario. Andrea speaks to her older sister Mary about her problem in receiving fake news from Facebook friends. Mary was threatened. To finish the conversation, Mary says to Andrea, "You just need to trust the messenger or the person who delivered the message. He or she must be a trusted person. Have a fact check or go to DOH Facebook page only, okay?" These are the questions. Who is the sender? Who is the receiver? What is the message? What medium was used to convey the message? What was the feedback? Was there any noise present to interfere with the communication process? If yes, write the noise and its type. Come on, think, and think. Okay, here are the answers. The sender is Andrea, while the receiver is Mary. The message is her problem in receiving fake news from Facebook friends. The medium are the voice and the other senses. The feedback is this: you just need to trust the messenger or the person who delivered the message. He or she must be a trusted person, have a fact check, or go to DOH Facebook page only, okay? Yes, there was a noise. It is an internal noise, specifically a psychological noise. The feeling of being threatened is a noise. Make sure you check all the elements of communication and analyze the situation well, okay? Now try to answer the other items. In case you find it difficult, you can go back to this video lesson and review the discussion. Let's proceed to the next activity. For activity B, draw your family's communication diagram on the space provided in your LAS. Label all the elements you included in your diagram. Do not forget to give a name to your diagram. Include the importance of communication in your family during the quarantine period. You can color it if you want. You will be graded using this rubric. For our criteria, the highest score is 3 points, to be followed by 2 and 1 point. Your diagram should be clear and can be understood easily. All elements are properly labeled. The title is also unique, and it is connected to COVID-19. Explanation on the importance of communication must be also clear. And lastly, the overall appearance must be excellent. God bless and good luck. Now here is a sample diagram that you may use as your guide. This is a family communication during the quarantine. As you can see in the sample, there are elements of communication and also the explanation of the elements. Our family during the lockdown became stronger. We remind one another with the health protocols. Our parents are the senders and we are the listeners. Their messages focus on our safety. They love us and they are always reminding us to obey. They use their voices to send their messages of love to us. Now, it's your turn for your own diagram. God bless, you can do it. For your final activity, think about what you have learned about the nature and elements of communication. Is everything about communication clear now? Create a model of your concept of communication during the home quarantine. Use arrows and shapes to connect the elements that you want to combine. Also, write a detailed explanation of your model. You may use another sheet of paper for your model and explanation. This will be the criteria for the checking of your output. Creativity, 5 points. Content of your explanation, 5 points. Application of the elements, 5 points. Grammar, 2 points. And lastly, organization, 3 points. Now this is a sample model of communication applying the elements what we have discussed. I wish you all the excellence as you do your best in accomplishing this task. Also, you can see a sample explanation on this model. God bless on your activity. Also, write a detailed explanation of your model. You may use another sheet of paper for your model and explanation. This will be the criteria for the checking of your output. Creativity, 5 points. Content of your explanation, 5 points. Application of the elements, 5 points. Grammar, 2 points. And lastly, organization, 3 points. Now, this is a sample model of communication applying the elements, what we have discussed. I wish you all the excellence as you do your best in accomplishing this task. Also, you can see a sample explanation on this model. God bless on your activity. Now, this is your guide when you write your explanation. Make sure you will explain the elements of communication and of course the process of communication in your model. Just like this one, during the lockdown, everything became virtual. All people embraced the online communication to survive. In my model, I use the people who are talking and using the technology to send their messages. This model represents the flexible way or the new normal way of communication. Everything is changing even during this pandemic. In your explanation, you may use extra sheet of paper for your output. Now it's time to create your own model of communication. Apply all the things that you have learned in this lesson. Alright, let us see how well you reflect from the lesson you have studied. How can you apply your learnings from this lesson to real life? How can you apply it in our present pandemic situation? How can you apply it as a future professional? How about as a student in your school? Now it's time to reflect. Do not be afraid because there is no wrong answer in your reflective answers. Just be yourself as you apply your learnings in this lesson.
Congratulations! You have successfully finished your lesson this week. You learned the nature, process, and functions of communication. You also learned the important elements of communication which are very essential in a communication process. Always bear in mind that understanding with one another will be possible if you know the elements of communication. Always bring these learnings as you move on to the next lesson of your senior high school journey. I enjoyed teaching you the concepts that you need for you to be better communicators amid pandemic. Again, this is Mariechris M. David, your virtual teacher in oral communication in context. I am always proud of you. Always be motivated to learn amid these challenging times. Enjoy your senior high school journey. Goodbye everyone. Take care.